hostess, Dr. Ali Muhammad, coming at you live, Aboriginal Radio, first night. Definitely ready to get it in tonight on a hot topic. Let the listening audience know that we are here to share information, to be respectful of one another. This show is actually held for the purpose of communicating the national and international agenda of the International Indigenous Society. And that particular society, well known by some, not known by others, is Aboriginal Union of Aboriginal Moors in North America, to understand and know that it's time for us to really focus our attention on solutions for ourselves and our people. So we're definitely going to be talking about those solutions tonight. Tonight's show is dedicated, focusing on Aboriginal history in North America, something that we have not known or have not known enough of. And we're going to be giving a lot of sources out, a lot of study material, and it's all under the guise of us understanding our picture in this whole global apparatus that we are operating in. We've been taught a lot of things that are erroneous. We've been told places we're from, beings we're from, by white folks. And unfortunately, a lot of our scholars have not taken the stance to actually challenge some of the information that we have all learned in this colonized system. So we're going to be going in on this information. And I realize it's controversial, but you can't create change without controversy. We definitely need the controversy in an intelligent way. So we're going to lay down some rules first. I see a lot of people got their hands up and people ready to jump on already. Here are the rules. Respect one another. Love one another as a people. This show is about edification. We're not going to hate on anybody. We will deal with facts. And the facts are that we need to look at our situation in a very meticulous fashion, in a dialogue fashion where we don't shut down anybody's particular perspective. We want to hear what you got to say. We're going to challenge what we say tonight. But that's good. Because if I say something incorrect, or any of the other hosts that might step up tonight say something incorrect, it's your job to challenge it. It's your job to give a view based on some facts that you could present for our further edification. Our mantra inside of the International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns is similar to what Mr. Garvey gave us when he told us one God, one aim, and one destiny. But we understand that we need one nationality, one aim, and one destiny. And we're moving towards that, where we can understand our position globally, properly, and then move forward. So we're going to jump into some of the information. The subject tonight that we're going to discuss is the Aboriginal American origin of civilization. We talk about civilization all the time, and we got a lot of books, and we watch the Discovery Channel, and we got all kinds of information. But how much do we actually plumb through in order to arrive at some facts? All right? So what we want to do tonight is arrive at some facts, not based on speculation, but based on proper meditation on the information. And we realize that, a lot of people might not know the information that we know, or we have never heard of it. But we're definitely going to go in on this information because it's much needed. And we definitely need to begin to study so we can try to figure out if the information that we have been given is correct or not. All right. So let's start it off. What are the topics that we're supposed to cover tonight? I'm going to hit these phone lines early just to say peace to some people, but this is what we're going to go over. We've been conventionally taught that, first of all, white folks have the right, after colonizing the world, to tell the world its history. Any fool with any sense knows that if a group of people who are the minority conquer the majority of the people who are indigenous peoples all across the world, they are not going to tell the truth about their particular history. They may mix truth with falsehood and tell some truth and repeat what your ancestors had already wrote down, but it is a political agenda for them to hide the most sacred information that will open your eyes. So with that in mind, we need to understand that we need specialization in certain fields of science, or at least diligent study in those fields in order to arrive at conclusive facts and perspectives on those particular histories. So, we're going to cover a lot of things that are considered orthodox and break up the orthodox. I also like to say that the show will be ran in 4 segments. First week we'll cover heritage, cosmology. The second week, law and economics, the side of the so-called United States of America. For those who don't travel, you got a problem, because you can't get literature, because most literature, or the literature that I'm talking about, you can't even get in the United States of America. So we're going to discuss where did humanity originate, or what are the oldest civilizations and where are they? Where are the oldest writings at, the oldest glyph writings, the oldest calendars, right? The oldest pyramids, where are they? The oldest governmental structures, where are they? And what kind of evidence or information will we bring up? Like I said, we're going to give a lot of sources. Now, our preliminary hypothesis is that all of the above originated right here on the landmass that we call America, which is broken up into North, South, and Central America. And that will not be taken well by anybody who is in orthodox science. It won't be taken well by a so-called Afrocentric community and the scholars within that particular community. It might not be taken well by anybody, but that's all right. Truth stands as truth. It doesn't need your agreement. All right, so we're going to look at this information and peruse through it, and we're going to make it very practical, because the practical reality that I'm going to prove in doing these sessions on this particular history is to prove that the so-called African American is of a lineage of people that are the oldest people on the planet. And it was through the conquering of this particular lineage of people that this minority that we call the white race was able to conquer the rest of the globe. We gave the rest of the globe civilization. We gave them mathematics. We gave them engineering. We gave them the ability to learn how to communicate in writing. We gave them the world's first civilization. And the world's oldest civilizations originate in America, and they are what we would conventionally use phonetically as a word called or used Moorish civilization. All right, and we found the civilizations in various parts of the planet, and we've been off of this planet, and a lot of the evidence is coming out that is very mathematical, not some new age speculation. I'm not talking about that kind of information. David Icke and all these other guys. I'm talking about serious math and serious science. And we need our brothers and sisters who are in these technical fields to begin to get a hold of some of this ancient information and the new education that we have to offer in ISIS, so you can make sense out of what you're doing, because everything that you're doing should be for your own birthrights and your own nationality. None of it should be for the suppression of information that continues to go on. So we're going to start off with some books. So let's jump into the information, some books that you need that we can get to you. Some books that are outside of the United States of America that you can't get. The first one is a book by a man named Javier Cabrera Garcia. This book is called The Message of the Engraved Stones of Ica in Peru. Now, this book you can't buy in the United States of America. You have to either go to Peru or go to their museum in Peru, in Ica, Peru, to get this particular book. And this particular book you won't find online anywhere except for a few websites that have some pictures and depictions of what he has in the book. Now, why the book is important is because this is one of the books that we're going to use tonight, and the actual materials from the museum to show the antiquity of the age of the people that we call Amaru, right? Who are the oldest tribe in the Americas, are the so-called Cherokee, Choctaw, Lenape, on down the line, who are known as African Americans, Negroes, Black folks, all of those terms. They know, will tell them who they are. They might tell them they are phenotypically, which is great, okay, these Black folks in North America. And if you check the records, the so-called Negroes are the old, or the Indios are the oldest people, and they are actually discussed enough when we discuss these terms. We have not known a lot of our history. Most of the time we want to see the history of Black folk in America, we jump right across the Atlantic Ocean and land in Africa and start trying to learn about ourselves. When in fact, Egypt only has 88 pyramids. There are more pyramids in one Mayan site in the Yucatan than are in all of Egypt. All right? We have thousands of pyramid sites and mound sites. In fact, the most sites for pyramids and mounds in the world are in Central and North America. And they are anywhere on the planet. If you want to get in a plane and jump over to China and Middle East and all these other places to search for your history when it's right around the corner. All right, so we have to understand where we are. And we don't understand where we are, so we got to do it. So this book right here that I'm going to use later is going to show and break up this whole 250,000, 200,000 year myth about how humanity originated in Africa and walked out of Africa into all the other continents. That is the biggest hoax that has ever been played on history. In fact, during the time that they alleged this particular thing going on in Africa, we had people in this part of the planet who not only were building pyramids and had civilizations, but were leaving records intentionally for us to have knowledge of who they were. All right, and I'm talking real ancient history. We're going to break down how archaeologists break down history in their orthodox style to show how old this information is. Another book, Forbidden Archaeology. Now, you can get this book in the United States of America. It's called The Hidden History of the Human Race, Forbidden Archaeology, by Michael A. Primo. All right, and Richard L. Thompson. Excellent book. I'm going to use some of it to dispel this whole theory of the hominid, and we originated from the hominid, and they're the oldest. And all these theories that, oh yeah, we found these almost half-ape, half-monkey individuals, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Australopithecus, that we descended from. The ancient records say a whole different story. When you read the records of our records in South America or the Indus Valley or even Egypt and Kemet, none of our ancestors say we originated from monkeys. So all of our great scholars, they're great, but a scholar like Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. Ben, Ivan Van Sertima, they gave us a wealth of information, and we are proud of them for what they did, and we honor them as deified ancestors. However, we have to have the scrutiny to dispel the parts that don't go along with our Aboriginal records, and that part does not go along. In fact, our people wrote about these particular creatures as if they lived during the same time that these creatures lived, and they talked about how they got like that. now we are trusting these foreign archaeologists to tell us about our history because we're illiterate and we can't read our languages or interpret our languages. And when we go to white schools, they make us, scholars for the purpose of continuing colonization. All right, so that's important that we get that book. Another book that is for our study is Africans and Native Americans, the Language of Race and the Evolution of Red and Black Peoples by Jack D. Ford. The reason why I'm pulling this book out is because if you want to get the first-hand resources when the Europeans first came to the Americas and who they saw, you need to get this book because he went to Spain and other places to look over the Jesuit letters. The Jesuit letters are the letters left by the Portuguese and the Spanish missionaries who first came during the Columbus and the so-called Amerigo Vespucci phases. And he records that the first people that they encountered, they turned Negro. So the Americans, the first Americans were Negroes, which means phenotypically they were describing a dark black race of people on this particular land.
I'm sure I read in Columbus' diary where he said he discovered Arawak Indians. Arawak Indians never know Negro. Negro came when the organized colonized people, the organized colonists start using the terms and mislabeling us. However, it's neither here nor there, really. I really love this information. I salute this good brother, Dr. Ali, irrespective, of how, one might think or feel. Here, zero, what we always appreciate is the information, and once it's verifiable, then we give thanks for it. We're not too care for persons or personas, but just show respect.
And they distinguish between the Negroes in so-called Africa by saying Negroes de Guine as opposed to Negroes de Terra, which means the Negroes de Terra were the black folk in this hemisphere as they saw it, and Negroes de Guine were the black folk in Africa as they saw it. And also, we're going to go over this history of the slave trade to show you the real history of the slave trade. We have this erroneous idea that millions and millions of ancestors were brought to Africa, or brought from Africa to America. This is a joke. And we don't know that the slave trade started by black people being taken from the Americas into Europe. That's the first phase of the slave trade that you don't learn about. You learn about the third phase. You learn it about it in an erroneous fashion. So that's a good book that breaks down that whole history of our being on this landmass. The next book, that's a good book, is called The American Discovery of Europe. This is also by Jack D. Ford. And if you notice, it sounds kind of off-key. What do you mean, the American Discovery of Europe? White folks try to say that they discovered America. When we were here, have been here for eons of time. And we had other races from Asia that came in as invaders prior to the white folks. Now, they're on reservations calling themselves the indigenous people. White folks are the foreign invaders that have taken, the minorities who have taken over the land, and all of the black people believe that they came over here on ships. But if you go to Mesoamerica 1,000 years ago, you'll see glyphs about people all over Mesoamerica. In fact, we're the only ones that you see. And being that we're the only ones that we see, if I go to a place like Anampec in Mexico, and I see pictures of the so-called Mayans, and they look like our grandmothers, and I look like I'm walking down 125th Street in Harlem, and there's a problem. Because now you can't say that we all came over here on boats, because there was nobody with slave ships 4,000 years ago bringing black people to America. So we're going to have to reinvestigate that. We're going to go into the details of the information. Next book, the Master Code book by Karl Monk. We're going to go into pyramid building on this earth, why we built pyramids. What was the purpose of it? We walk around and we go see the pyramid of Giza, and we go see the Sun Pyramid, and all these other places. planet. We say, well, great. They have a tour guide and they're telling us, all these things. The first time I went to Mexico in 2004, I I knew that they were black folks, and specifically that their proper names were the Turushi or the Amaru, or the indigenous names. We knew these were more civilizations. So I went there, and of course, you had one of the people who were running the tour said that they were Quiche Maya. But the only problem was he was white. Now, when I look at the and I see people that are my tone of skin, which is very dark tone, and then I look at him and I see he's white. The question I gotta ask is, how did the Olmecs or the Mayans get white? Today, and thousands of years ago, when we see them in the carvings, the stones, and the actual painted glyphs, they look like so-called Afro-Brazilians or Afro-Americans. This is the racism that's permeating, and we cannot deal with our nationality properly and our political status properly with other people controlling our history. We want to be from everywhere else except the ground that's under our feet. And we've been here, so we need to start learning why we put these monuments and other things here. And our ancestors knew that we put these monuments here for specific purposes. Right? There's eons of history in these monuments, and we need to learn why they're here. We need to learn why we place them here, and they're not there for decoration. They're there for scientific reasons. There have been many cataclysms on this planet, and we were smart enough to know how to stabilize the planet with these particular monuments. This is not a new age pseudoscience. This is a real science that we're going to get into tonight. All right, so we're covering some of the books. Again, that's what I call monks. I have other books here, but those are the 5 main ones we're going to use tonight. Let's start chopping this up. Before we go into chopping this up, let me say a few words. A lot of people that have been trashing our society and saying, y'all can't represent the Moors, and y'all not any way associated. And, I haven't been on Blog Talk Radio. This is my first time in the capacity of speaking out as one of the ministers of the International Society of Indigenous Scholars. There's a lot of things that have been said about us. We'll cover those things, not tonight, on another level. But I want to say this. We are here to edify each other, brothers and sisters. All this attempting to tear each other down that I've heard on Blog Talk Radio and done by us is only because we have no vision and no focus. We need to actually start getting some focus and some vision so we can build ourselves up properly. Right? So this is about education. This is not about any other thing. So now let's start out with these theories. Now, the first area I'm going to start out with is some research that you can go further to verify some of the things that I'm going to say. We know from conventional orthodox studies that the alleged oldest civilization in the Americas, orthodox scholars call the Olmec civilization. Right? The Olmec civilization, centered in Central America, at La Venta and other places in Central America, is considered to be about 1,500 to 3,000 years old by conventional archaeology. All right, and of course, they have connected this particular need a huge stone. Problem is when there's opportunity to dig further and to find out information about the particular civilization, there is a tendency amongst so-called African American scholars to try to make everybody from Africa, based on the Louis Leakey theory and the whole Orthodox white Eurocentric theory that we all evolved from apes. So now what you have is anytime you find now So now what you have is anytime you find anybody on the planet, anywhere else, they have to be African. Now, there's a problem with that. There's a serious problem with that. And I got to start off there because nothing I say will make sense if I don't start out there. And starting out there is a good place to start because we are going to break up a lot of BS or baloney. Now, take in mind that I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not trying to denigrate our scholars, but I want to make it clear. To attempt to make all Aboriginal people who are phenotypically black and brown fallen under the historical status of African is a mistake that has been guided by two groups of people. One, ignorant people who just go to universities created by white folks who follow their systematic structure of white supremacy. That's one. And the second group are those who are more learned amongst these so-called black people or the white people who want to cover and hide history. And they do this intentionally. So you got an ignorant group and you got the group that's carrying out the phenomena intentionally. Now we did a presentation on this. It's called the Aboriginal Paradigm versus the CIA Columbia University controlled Afrocentricity. And we broke down a lot of things about the repatriation movement and the use of the term African, how it came out of the Prince Hall Lodge, and how this was an attack on history. Now, for all of you who might not have access to large amounts of books and volumes and be able to travel, I want you to do something if you're on the phone now or later on. Go to Google and type in the word Africa province. And what's going to happen is you might get some resources of some sort that give you the history of the use of the term Africa. And what you're going to find out is that it was white folk who created the first African province, all right, in 146 BC. And they did this after they conquered some of your ancestors, who we call Carthaginians, under the Carthaginian Empire. It's not Carthage, not the name, the true name. They were the people of Punt, or Top and West, or the puny people, or so-called, where we get the Greek use of puny or Phoenician. These are originals. But in 146 BC, the Romans conquered a small province and named it African Proconsularis. And after naming Africa Proconsularis, these white Romans colonized that particular area and became the first Africans. Now that might sound crazy to you, but it's historically a fact that the first Africans were white, and white folks, white Romans made up that particular name. The Aboriginal and indigenous peoples of that particular landmass never called themselves Africans. So to call yourself African today is a term that denotes that you are colonized and do not know your history. Now, you might not be able to stomach that, but it is a fact. All right, so we need to check this information out for ourselves. And we will find that the first coins were African coins with white faces on them. You'll find emperors like Emperor Hadrian and others who were white Romans who were considered African. Now we have 54, 55 countries on that particular continent, all with pretty much so-called phenotypically black leaders. And they are all controlled by white people, financially, etc. A lot of us over here, we cry about, well, we need land. You can't be sovereign without land. You can't go to Africa and say our people don't got no land. They got more land than you could think of. But it goes to show you can have all the land that you want. If you don't have your mind, you are still a slave. If you don't have your mind, you are still a slave. And we have 55 nations walking around calling themselves after a colonized term given to them by ancient Romans till this day. That is suicide, genocide, and menticide. All right, so we have to check that. If we are going to be a free people, how are we going to be free if we name ourselves after our enemies? Now, it was Andre 3000 who made the song, when he was dealing with the oxymoron. On the obverse of that, we reject the term American. All right? Under the guise that Amerigo Vespucci named the continent that particular name. That is another false or frivolous story. I will give you sources because I don't like to play. John Boyd Thatcher wrote a 6,000-page analysis of Columbus's journal, Journeys to the So-Called, and Amerigo Vespucci's Journeys to the New World. John Boyd Thatcher, early 1900s. He translated the letters in those original Latin letters. The man's name, not Amerigo Vespucci. That is Albericus. And when you read these particular letters and look around, you say, okay, well, how did his name get to be Amerigo? And then he just have this belief that he was named, or the name was named after him. This is what you call the science of colonization. Now, when they came to South America, during this time period in Central America, they knew the name of the people who called themselves Amaru. And in Columbus's own journal, when you go to his first page, he tells you on that first page of his own journal, type in Columbus Journal, go to the first page, he said that the leaders or the rulers in this part of the world were called Khan. We spell that like Farrakhan, K-H-A-N. And the Amaru-Khan were the leaders who we call, or the Aboriginal leaders or chiefs or kings, who we call the Mayan kings, the Olmec kings, etc. The pre-Inca civilization. The Incas came along, who are another foreign group of Hindus our civilization, and they began to take on the name Amaru. So this is why you see names like Tupac Amaru amongst their chiefs. They borrowed the language from the indigenous people. So the word Amaru-Khan comes from the indigenous people. It does not come from Amerigo Vespucci. The name was not named after him, right? That's important for us to know. So we got it backwards. We love African and hate American when we should hate American and love, we should hate African and love American. American is, in its phenotypical language, Aboriginal and Indigenous. And when you see that term Amaru, Amaru is where we get that phonetic more from, MR, when you take the vowels out. All right, so when Noble Drew Ali told us that we are
Amaru-Khan, this is how we talk around here. We have a different set, different cut. We don't talk like everybody else. That's why you would know a Jamaican when you hear it. And all other island people will emulate it. Yeah, man. We are who we are. Yeah. Not what you are said, or what we say. But yes, it's Indian at the term. But again, you're going to hear him say, according to Unlearn, Noble Joe Ali, and again, complete respect to this brother, Dr. Ali. This man here walked the ground, walked the walk, went on all of these, you know what I mean? Research personally. So, them thing I was impressed with. Most of we on the rock, we're so enslaved. If we ever go out in the ocean, we can't ever go to beach anymore. Foreign people totally colonize our beach area. Them take all our sea coast area right around the island. Yeah, the common people can't go on no beach. The beach them leave for us, yeah, it's eroded. You have alligator swimming at the same beach. You have shark swimming at the same beach. It's only whale me here now come up in our little local beach. But the foreigners, them build up resorts and block the place, block the off. We can't even enter. But we're going to fix that eventually. We have some children. We're going to rise up. We're going to say, you can't fool us anymore. We are the Awa, and we are the Indian First Term Youth, First Nation, First People. And them are going to change a lot of things. And a lot of these foreign people want literally have to run out of this location. They have to go run out of the Americas, not just this island. They have to run out. But again, the mainland people have this big foreign congress where them totally are ignored. And I'm on a light of fire on the foreign mainland congress over there. Fire with those demonic ones over there. Them are create the issues. Them are work for them hidden hand. You understand? Them are work for the foreign invaders. But my people are just now becoming aware.
We're at home, he wasn't joking. Because we are at home. And Alkebalan, or Kush, or Topinwet, or Tamaray, and the various jurisdictions is also our home. But you can't be home calling it the name that the colonizer gave it. So you go check the information, Africa Province, yourself. Look at it yourself. Go to our website, get some of my DVD presentations. We've done several of those, some of our classes in various jurisdictions throughout the United States of America. All of our ministers have access to this information. You can get it, no matter where you're in so-called Tennessee, so-called Georgia, so-called.
This is how organized these Moorish people are, and it's not just them. It's a institution of these foreign invaders where them organize themselves and then get you to organize yourself and then attach yourself to their organization where them regulate you. They're all foreign, my people. Yeah, man. Don't be deceived. When you see them talk about out of many, one, garbage is out of I derive many. Out of this one, set of people derive many. Everyone we are foreigner know their point of origin. They do know it. Yeah, man, when they say them not look like us, they know they're not from here. But they will deceive you and tell you, hey, you're African. And then you believe it. Listening to the sellout entertainers and mainstream media personnel, all of them selling out. This is why a handful of them live lavishly and parade them lavishness in front of you folks, while the majority are living in abject poverty. Yeah, but you're so conditioned, so colonized. Every time them squeeze you, you adjust to the squeezing, and you know what I mean? You only complain that the politician. No, there's always a hidden hand behind these local, unlearned, dunce country politicians. Always a hidden hand. This is why these politicians were easily used as pawns. Because them not have no character. Check most of them, not all, you know. But majority are come from some unsavory background. This is why you see them operate like that up there. This is why I don't want none of these cross-dressing people talk about them are governed over. They are my public servant. That is it. So again, clarity. We are West Indians only because there's an Eastern Hemispheric region over there. That's where everybody mix up. What them call Asia, what them call the Near East, the Far, everybody is mixed up and connected over there. But over here, it's just us. It's just America. It's just us. Until the foreign invasion. You know what I mean? The foreign invaders permeate the place, destroy the place, pollute the place, corrupt the place, pervert the place. These foreigners, they're foreign invaders. Wake up. You're no African. You've never been any kind of African. The only Africans here are these entertainers that go over there, go satisfy their sadistic fetish. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them school you. Yeah, man. So again, even within this information, we can deduce what is and what is not. Yeah, man. I would do, set complete gratitude for the share. Fair use. You know, this man I care, man, that's around it. So if them want to block it, that's fine.
North Carolina, so-called New Jersey, so-called Pennsylvania, so-called New York, all the way over to so-called. We got people everywhere who have this information.
Just like the Maroons. Exactly like the Maroons. Just like how the very same Rastafari organization become just the same. This is how them spoil everything. When Rasta did a deal with revolution and separation and upliftment for us as a people, Babylon just buy it out, start give them a lot of money, and let a few of them think them rich, and everything change. Yeah, man. No more revolution. Yeah. Everybody want international contract, and them want to go on tour. And when them go on tour, these foreign invaders, these Babylonians, give them Tutsi within them drink, knock them out, and then sodomize them in all kind of ways and video it and then keep it. Let them see it and know, so listen, now you're our puppet. So this is why you see a lot of the entertainer, them so wealthy and them never nothing for common people. I'm never impressed with these entertainers because I know all of them ill, sick, them full of disease. They hear it publicly announced, so the Jay-Z's, them and the Beyonce's, them have all kind of venereal diseases and who know glorify these filth, not I. Fire burn for them. Yeah, man. fire burn. So again, these organizations, especially these registered organizations, is not it, my people. People have been registering their organization and their societies and their Indian nation to what avail? For federal grants, yet the people are still enslaved. Fire burn, no assimilation, period, no registration, period. We are the Indian, West Indian. We are the original people here. All you foreigners are doing business in our land. This make us sovereign in our capacity. Not this bullshit, you know what I mean? Not this bull. I talk about all kind of different foreign groups. We are no more, and we've never been Moorish. I'm going to share the prestige and information, and we're going to show how we deal with these Islamic Moors and the Christian. I will cheer them up, both of them. Them did a fair wonder who we is. I will never, assimilate. I want to be involved in for them slackness. That's what it is. Everything about their system is amoral.
Also check out our website, www.wetheaboriginalpeople.com. So we established that. Now, jumping back to the scholars who try to make everything African, that's why they do that, because they are colonized. So as much as I love Runako Rashidi, him going to all these indigenous people trying to tell them that they're African, come on, this is a joke. This is a joke. You can't make everybody the name of colonizer. Right? So that becomes a serious problem for us, because now we can't even think through the language to see who we are in our global connection as Aboriginal people. And this is why we started the International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns with the 8 Aboriginal Moorish tribal governments that composed it, because we wanted our people to understand you can't force names on people that it doesn't belong to, right? So we gotta get away from these colonized names, because what they do is they distort our perception of history. In our Supreme Wisdom lessons, when I was first coming into the FOI,
colonized names. Colonized names. You're a proud Jamaican citizen. You're a proud colonial slave. Not I. Not I. Free will choice of that.
It doesn't belong to, right? So we gotta get away from these colonized names, because what they do is they distort our perception of history. In our Supreme Wisdom lessons, when I was first coming into the FOI, we had to ask the question, why does the devil call our people African? Right? It was the devil who called our people African first. When I say devil, I'm not talking about a spook. I'm talking about a real colonizer who used that particular name. So we thank Master Farad Muhammad for giving us that information in the 30s that most of our scholars just skipped over. Dr. Ben didn't skip over it. And the Black Man of the Nile and his family, he put it right up inside the book on page 47, that the name Africa is a name given by the Greeks and the Romans.
Jamaica need to hear them information, yeah. And stop for them University of West Indies, don't see these Pan-African clowns.
We skip over that and love other parts of the teaching, but we want to deal with, because that side takes us into our political reality. We can't walk.
These people we have in front, these Jamaican populace, the West Indians who them assimilate and transform. These are the people where the colonization by the information that I'm sharing and their subjective nature, where everything can just bow down in front of their public servants, not knowing that them public servants and public them a bit backwards. In schools and when it offend some of them just chop out all different kind of crazy trouble. So yeah, I'm glad when I get for push this information. Yeah, man. Being alternative to the Pan-African garbage, to these maroons, where they're out there I spread these fallacious stories. You're no maroon, you're Indian. Yeah, you're just colonized. So you call yourself maroon because a lot of you broke back maroons sold out to the British, signing treaty when you don't have no authority, but you're not West Indian. People, it's right there in front of you. We are the West Indian, we not sign a treaty. Who are these maroons? These maroons are the creation of the foreign invaders. And they did it all over the Americas. Is their strategy, my people. But when you're on a colonized level, you never kind of can see it. It's going to be hidden to you. So one such as I out there for bring information and shine light so you can find the correct direction out there. Yeah, man, information share. I'm just loving it.
Now, with the names of other people, but we should be carrying our indigenous and aboriginal names. All right, so with that being said, you can't make the Olmec African because there was no such thing as an African when the Olmec existed. In fact, there was no such thing as an Olmec. The Olmec called themselves the Tutu Shi. All right, or the Shia. Well, when they pluralized it, it was the Ashia. All right, or Asia. And they had various jurisdictions on the planet, not just in Central America, but we go over to the other part of the planet. In so-called China, they had the Xi'an province, which are the oldest site of pyramids in Asia. And when we say ASEAN or Asia, you're saying Asia. All right? So when the prophet Noble Drew Ali said we are Asiatics, adding the Latinized it to it.
Yeah, we totally comprehend. You have Asia over there. You have the Near East. You have the Far East. You have but Europe. Before all of these things, you'd have a patriarch around here called Prester John, the patriarch of the Indian. And Prester John identified these places as the three Indies. Where must say our continent right here, the South African area over there, so what I'm call the African continent. And in India, where the Hindus them take over right now. So that was the three Indies accordingly. But again, we're going to take our time and bring forth them information there accordingly. So again, I love this information. I salute this good brother for sharing this information. I allow ones and ones to choose to apply themselves to the basic research. Prove this brother, prove the information wrong. Yeah, it have nothing to do with the messenger. Absolutely zero to do with the messenger. Prove the information wrong. I'm going to direct the earth. I say Africa is the beginning of everything. Yet we have location, but predate what I deal with in Africa. You understand? When you survey that landmass over there and survey our continent, I'm not going to say how much more expensive our location is. How much more, conducive to everything that is beauty over here. So the waterways was such where Babylonian people come and change our waterways, change our water system, change our rivers, build up dams and wipe out communities. A lot of these Gulf fields on the mainland over there, they are really our ancestral, hereditament buried under these Gulf fields. Enough of these Gulf coasts where you see all over the mainland there, especially the ancient place. This is what I'm doing. them cover towns, them bury all kind of information. Yeah, and then present themselves as, hey, we are the American, we're not American. And if we're not to claim American, it's on a federal level. We're not political American, like how we have the political Jamaicans here, totally unaware of their political enslavement, and then tell you proudly, we are Jamaican. Me say, what you know? Round here we say Zama Yakan. Zama Yakan. Yeah. And we say Awak Indian nation. When you listen to old tape, you can hear me speak this way, say these guys can't have jurisdiction over us because we now claim the name with them prescribed for their slave, for their subjects. You get me? For their citizens. We not attach ourselves to those terms. I had chant this way a long time, but people never get it, never ready for it. Well, mostly my common people, because the international ones them learn like crazy when we speak. Yeah, man, because we, bring a different perspective, a different point of view. We look on it from a different angle. Yeah, we not try to look on it from phone point of view out there. This is why we like when we share information. We say we not care where the truth is, we not care where it's there. Yeah, man, when I watch who are presented, it could be a flaming sissy, I care zero, as long as the information is true. As long as the information is verifiable, then we acknowledge it and we say salute. We not watch no face. We not come here for count, not kind of cow. Or watch nobody's material trinkets. This is how them get the Indians. That's when they say one's a parlay and I realize a foreign gift them a parlay with, and it's called material. No substance, really. As I get it today, tomorrow it get old, but the knowledge where you keep will only improve, will only get refined, will only become better. And them say you are what you think about. So if most don't know think about colonization and enslavement, then that's where one is. A man like me, you hear me always talk about freedom, freedom in and freedom in, that's where I am. Then there are the subtle distinction people will miss. Everything revolves around us, but we are look outside thinking it's them. No, it's us. We are it. I'm telling us that the very first postal location was established here on this island, right here. The very first in the so-called modern time, in this modern era. It never started on the mainland. It started right here, and the federal postal office is the bureaucracy that sits on top of all of these corporate government agencies. These are clarity, my people. But everybody wants power. So everybody are fight for who can control the Most High sovereign creators people. When them have we in them hand is like treasure. We become their jewel. They can't exist without us. They are like parasite, my people. I'm telling you. Yeah, man. And they are what is known as a dichotomy of us. Then different. You hear me share information on a subliminal level, kind of subtly. I tell you, said these people, where the G come from, germanium, where it have a semi-metal, silver, gray. And them thing they in for them DNA. Oh, nah, get it. You know, when we talk it out clean and brawling, sometimes we can't do that. Sometimes we have to think critically, use upon a break. We're going to force our people to become better. We're going to force them to read and write, man. Yeah, man, on this level, not on the colonial bullshit level, or on a dumb like rapper, with a simple man like me, where I'm going to go to high school and tear up on a little judicial, on the whole system here. One man I make some information, reach out there with people and say, well, if you don't want to share it, we can't do it. You know what I mean? It's going to come back at us. This is why you say the double jeopardy law of the stand. Before them railroad our people, before the public servants step out there and do anything they want and get away with it. Now, a time are going to come where you say all old cases, some old cases where people name call on, you're going to have a new breed of young set of foreign international people will come up and start pay attention to these cases. So a lot of you old man will think you know do all kind of wrong in office and retire when I get called up. Yeah, man, you hear me say it first. A lot of things I talk out there, and long after you see it happen, man, I don't forget. I don't hear nobody talk about the earthquake we get yesterday. That was a powerful one. Yeah, really powerful one, I tell you. It's a joy when we always chant nature. When we say earthquake, lightning and thunder. Yeah, man, it's a joy. Yeah, man. However, our people here on the island should be now cognizant that a lot of drilling and a lot of things are going on where the international foreign invaders is concerned. But our local politician, you know, those broke back type, the cross-dressing ones, sold this country down the river. So you have a lot of drilling. I'm telling you, we have oil here, so we have gold here, so we have so much things here. But them now gonna make you know. Them are telling us they are dirt. These foreign people are tech. It's not just dirt, my people. It's called raw material, mineral, all kind of things in them dirt there. And Babylon, I carry away the so-called dirt and I transform it into at least 18, 19, 20 different products from the one little dirt. Yet we say we have a university and we not teach our people how to do anything where we can benefit. All them do is teach the people how to become proper slaves. Yeah, for foreign investors. This is why we are being traded on the stock market as mutual fund investment. And we are the certificate holder, you know what I mean, and owner. But them now tell we, them I give you some bullshit. I teach you some garbage. I make some little sodomite cross-dressing guru. I tell you create. And we are say, hold on, man, then why we if you do all kind of thing when this is right? This is an instrument that they call primary. So how we gonna walk apart past the primary instrument and I go create all different kind of trusts, leaving the primary instrument into the hands of these foreign invaders for regulate. No, we are the executor, we are the administrator. They will always be the fiduciary trustee. They can't do nothing else. But if we now apply ourselves to learn how to get control over our own affairs, just like one of us may do, but we're not going to comprehend it. Later on, I'm going to ask me all kind of questions, but I'm not interest. I'm not too busy to plant, you know, coconut tree and ackee tree and all kind of fruit tree. I don't think don't want just a walk around and plant. Forgive we too when I have the inclination like most I try gather up land. Hey, we want this here proper. No, that's what we comprehend. So we are the land. There's no way we can be separate and apart from this land. This is why the birth registration form is housed in the location where we keep property, land. You represent such, my people. This is how the foreign invaders look at us, as products, as commodities, as their merchandise. That's how they look at us, these foreign invaders. I'm going to tell you, they're mixed. They look like us, they'll not look like us, but all of them foreign to us. All of them point of origin is not here in this location. This is why we celebrate the West Indies. This is why we celebrate the West Indian. And remember, West Indies consists of areas in northern South America, southern North America, and all of Mexico. West Indies. Center, everything. This is where it all starts, but later on I'll get those information and get clarity. Anyway, we'll go on share until we wrap it up.
So, there's no possession. Why do people get mad? All right, so we have to not get caught up into emotion and get caught up into real scientific research. We are the ancient Aboriginal people. We are the AGI.
Salute,
right? And we never use the planet's name to name ourselves. We always name jurisdictions after our own nature and our own name. But to name yourself after a piece of land is kind of backwards. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, so we want to establish for the record that you can't call yourself by the name of your colonizers if you have sense. And I know we have lost some of our sense, so we got to get it back. Let's jump into the first book. The first book, The Message of the Engraved Stones of Ether. All right, now I'm going to break down real quick for you on this show some very important information about the hoax of how old humanity is. Because according to conventional scholarship, modern human beings should never show up in any record beyond maybe 200,000 years. Modern human beings are given the so-called scientific name Homo sapiens. And they are allegedly preceded by older forms of beings called Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Australopithecus. These are the so-called ancestors of modern man. All right. Western, well, I can't even say Western, white archaeology and black archaeologists who follow as the white archaeologists basically state that these hominids and these human beings, have certain dates or ages to them. All right. So we're going to go through some of these dates so you can understand these periods of time. They basically break the eras down into 3 eras: the Cenozoic, Mesozoic, and Paleozoic. Now, I'm not going to say I agree with these particular things at all, because we have studied these things meticulously and we found errors in them. We're going to use them just to prove all of these erroneous theories as false. The Cenozoic period is broken down into 8 or 7 periods. The Mesozoic is 3 periods, and of course the Paleozoic is 7 periods. And inside of these periods, you have the appearance of certain things going on, allegedly. For instance, over 5 million years ago, you shouldn't have the appearance of any people of modern type going on in any place. In fact, in the Jurassic period, which is about 213 million years ago, an archaeologist will argue with you down to the bone and say, oh, no, you'll never find evidence of any human being anywhere on the planet. During the Jurassic period, this is the time period you had these so-called large reptiles that we call dinosaurs, which you find in bones and other things. But we want to show you from the Message of the Engraved Stones of Ether depictions of people interacting with these Jurassic period animals. This is why you need to get this particular book. Now, the interesting thing about this is nowhere on the earth do you find this type of depiction. Nowhere. And the reason why that becomes important is because it deals with how old is humanity and what are we going to use to engage that particular subject. One of the books that I want to recommend for you, just for your study, which is going to lead right into what we're about to talk about right now, is a book called The Mayan Calendar and the Transformation of Consciousness. It's by a man named Carl Johan Kalaman. the Mayan calendar and the transformation of consciousness. Now, why this is important is because of one thing. Now, we know that the name is not Maya. We call them Amaru. These are Moors. These are the Shi people, the Shia people. And both the Olmec and the Mayan are actually the same people, but archaeologists have given them different names, you know, because that's their job. They divide and they separate because, you know, that is not only in their nature, but, you know, that's a part of their behavior to control the information. So we know from looking at the Bottom Peck steles what the Mayans phenotypically look like and depicted themselves as. When you go to the Bottom Peck steles or any other steles that the Mayans had, or the Olmecs, or the Zapotecs, or any of these other groups, what you find very clearly is that they are phenotypically black and brown people. They painted those murals thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and they're still there for us today for those who travel to go and see them.
Now, this is what we are talking about. When people think of America, they think a white man country and a white man land because of their colonization and the indoctrination. So all them I think about is, oh, me are African and me have to go back to Africa, and they won't go. Amaru-Khan and his friends will not leave this land. They've been to Africa so many times, again, for their own personal reasons, but they're not staying. It's usually some man will probably get in a problem with the law, decide for runway, grow them here tall, and runway and go to Africa, and throw them here tall, and a yard man then get a little bit of, you know, notoriety around there. But these influential people where say them have money, where Babylon pay them for maintain the colonization and slavery, them not live here. Them rather parade them wealth in front of the slave and tell the slave a lot of, you know, fallacious narrative because them say them have university degree. This is the problem we have with our people. We not try to apply ourselves for ourselves. We are waiting for some leader, some savior, and we don't want to look into the mirror. We call it lazy, you know. Most of our people, them just lazy, most of them. Lazy, yeah.
You can go, if you can't travel, go right to your computer, type in Bottom Peck, B-O-N-A-M-P-E-K, steles, Mayans, and you will get some of the pictures that are available online. We placed a lot of those online from being down there and researching. All right, so it leads us to the point of a particular calendar amongst these Moorish Aboriginal Black people in Central America. And this particular calendar is found in the Yucatan at a place called Cuba. And archaeologists will call the monuments Coba steles. That's S-T-E-L-A-E. And when you go to
West Indian area again, you know, Yucatan people. In the area Yucatan, yeah. West Indian area, same way.
5, which is
America.
Actually a totem. The Mayan have a particular calendar that's broken down and synchronized with time, days, periods to calculate years, and periods to calculate larger groups of years. The calendar is broken down into days, which are called kins. Right? Our ancestors broke this calendar down. Yunos, which is a 20-day period. 18 yunos equal 360 days, plus a period that we call the Wayeb, which is a 5-day period, which equals a year, which is called the tune. And when you take 20 tunes, you get a katun, 20, which is 20 years, approximately 7,200 days, which is about 100 days less than that period, the 20-year period. And 20 katuns equals almost a 400-year period, which we call a baktun. And 13 of those equal 13 baktuns where the cycle recycles itself. All right, so we got a 400-year cycle. Now, at Koba, they have a calendar that is 16.4 billion years old. Now we have to scratch our head and ask ourselves a question. White folks tell us that the planet is only 4.5 billion years old. Who on earth would have a calendar 16.4 billion years old? In fact, it's the oldest calendar in the world, right here in the Americas, from black folks that we are descended from, that we know nothing about. 16.4 billion years of history etched into a totem to leave for you and me so we'll know who we are. And we are amazed and jumping around thinking we're from some monkeys that are 2 million or 3 million years old. This is the insanity that goes on. Because they're not going to tell you that the Maya are phenotypically black, and they're definitely not going to conventionally tell you that they're connected to the Aboriginal tribes of North America who are also phenotypically black, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Napi, etc. And that they align their monuments to each other's monuments, meaning that they knew about each other. Therefore, we deal with one lineage of people who had a particular type of culture, a science and a math that was preserved amongst them. So when we look and say, who has the oldest calendar on the earth, the question is definitively answered by saying so-called black folk in the Americas have the oldest calendars on the planet. There are no calendars in Europe that are older, there are no calendars in Asia that are older, and there are definitely no calendars in Africa that are older. So now you can go and study for yourself, get the book, go travel to the Yucatan to code for yourself, do some research, and find this calendar. And you will see the oldest calendar on the planet. It's called the Long Count Calendar. And both the so-called Olmec and the so-called Mayan had it. This is how we know that they're the same people. And not only that, they wrote down the same name for themselves, the Turushi, which is the noble priesthood amongst these Aboriginals, or the Amaru. All right? Or the Amaru-Muru. These were the words that they gave themselves. All right? So they left that calendar for us. So if you want to study, you will find that this is the oldest calendar in the world. All right. So any arguments on that will have to be made with our ancestors because they left that for us. And if anybody can find a calendar that's older than that, 16.4 billion years ago, then hey, I would love it. Bring it on. All right? And we'll be able to argue with you down to the wire to prove that we were here for a long, 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 long time, brothers and sisters. Longer than white folks can even write down in their archaeological books. All right? So you need to study that information. Now, with 8.4 billion years of history, when you're using the scale of time to go back into years, the geological eras and the periods, the Cenozoic, the Mesozoic, the Paleozoic. The Paleozoic is the oldest and only goes back to 590 million years. So now the Mayans have a calendar that stretches beyond the modern ability to even calculate the things that they try to calculate in the fossil records and the early microbes and the evolution of life. This goes to show that the whole theory of evolution is a joke. We are thinking that we are evolving, and we are actually devolving. And the people that eat McDonald's every day evolve. It's a joke. So we need to kind of get ourselves in perspective to see who we are, because we're too arrogant. We think that we are advanced. We're not advanced. And there's civilizations that have been and still more advanced than us. In the sense of us, meaning us who are thinking we're in the modern epic and advanced, being advanced. Now, the thing about the book that I mentioned, The Message of the Engraved Stones of Ika, if you type it into your search engine, you will get a website of one brother that put a lot of images up. You won't get the book, of course, but you can get some images. And inside of these images, what you will find out is that these Amaru people, corresponding with the Mayan calendar that were already here, depicted themselves interfacing with these Jurassic prototypical animals. Jurassic meaning dinosaurs. I have in the book that I'm looking at right now 27 glyphs etched into a stone that is called andesite, used to depict these particular things. All right. The other part of this discussion that is important is not only do they depict Jurassic animals, and Jurassic animals would have lived, according to modern data, 213 million years ago. They're the only ones on the planet that depict these particular things in carvings and etched glyph work that is not Paleolithic in the sense of made by people who are not necessarily at the level of intelligence that we are. No, these are glyphs that are very clear, that you can see, and they are beautiful pieces of artwork that, according to modern standards, would be 213 million years old. Find me somebody on the earth that has that. You won't find it. Not only that, you say, well, maybe they're false. Maybe the stones and the etchings are false that are in this particular book that I mentioning the message of the engraved stones of Ica. Well, that was reported. So the author, who actually was a part of the discovery of the stones, and there's almost 20,000 of these stones that were found in Ica, Peru, sent them to be tested. All right? And when he sent them to be tested, the author, of course, here is Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquilla. He took 33 of the stones and he took them. He had a friend that was called Louis Hachal of the Maricel Hachal Mining Company based in Lima, Peru. So he went to the laboratory to get them to be tested, and they were tested by a geologist by the name of Eric. And he basically made a statement that's a part of this book. I want to read it. He basically said, this is unquestionably natural stone shaped by fluvial transport. Petrologically, I would classify them as andesites. Andesites are rocks whose components have been subjected mechanically to great pressure, which causes chemical changes to take place. In this case, the effects of the intense purification are obvious. This process has increased the compactness in specific ways. And he confirms that he would send them to the University of Bonn in Germany. And he basically states that the rocks are from the Mesozoic era, which would align with the third era or the second era of the Mesozoic era, the Jurassic era, 213 million years ago. All right, so now we have the rocks being tested. Now, andesite is a stone that develops from volcanic rock. And on the scale, on the mole scale, which is a scale that's used to test the hardness of rocks, the rocks come up harder than granite, which means that in order to make the carvings into the stones and the etchings, which are actually pieces of art, right, artwork that are very detailed and actually very beautiful in the way that they look, they're not, caveman type of carving, they're very artistic. The archaeological report says that the people would have to have carbon steel, diamond cutting materials, or possibly even lasers. Now, who do you know 213 million years ago, when there was supposed to be no human beings, could be using that type of technology? So right here in the Americas, you had that going on. According to even the modern data, at least 213,000 years ago during the Jurassic era. And not only that, they made depictions of how they physically look. I'm holding a book right now, and on the front page, you have one of the stones that depicts one of the chiefs with full garb on, with a telescope looking up into the stars, and the stars are etched onto the top of this particular stele. Who had telescopes this far, or this far back in history? There's no depictions of anybody with telescopes. So our question remains, what type of advanced civilizations existed millions and millions and millions of years ago right here, when we don't find this type of information anywhere else in the world? Not only did they information, but they left maps that show the tectonic plates before certain levels of cataclysm occurred on the planet. Now, many of us learn about civilizations that we call Atlantis and Lemuria and other things, and there have been proposed ways of how they look. These particular people left these particular maps, and they show the continents when they were connected, when the plates were slid together. All right? So we have, according to the research that we've done, we know that there were certain levels of cataclysms that caused the tectonic plates to slide. That information is verified, but this is prior to those cataclysms that mostly would have happened 12,900 years ago, around 10,000 BC. They gave us maps that old. No one else has maps prior to that particular period. So again, we're dealing with evidence, very, very clear evidence. I can get into some other information. William Nivens, who wrote a few books, studied in the Valley of Mexico, and in the late 1800s and early 1900s.
So people are going to have to go knock after part 2 or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if this platform is still active out there. I think Aboriginal Dimitri did the same kind of change it up. But that's the information we like. You know what I mean? The ones that can do them on basic due diligence. Anyway, again, salute all the free people. Salute.